Okay, so thank you all for attending this information session. This is going to be us reviewing, just going over the equity survey that was sent out a couple weeks ago. This is for continued funding for the next program year. Adina, the grant manager of Equity Fund, and I are both here to answer any questions and to really just give you a high level overview of it. It's something very familiar that all of you have completed last year already, very similar. And so we're just gonna really just go about and review the survey. We're going to talk about eligibility very quickly, and then we're just going to review the survey and then Q&A session for all of you. Okay. So for eligibility, obviously you must be a current equity fund grantee. This is not an RFA. This is not an expansion for new equity fund grantees. This is just for current equity fund grantees. And so obviously you all are current grantees, so that you all meet that criteria. Another piece is good standing performance. Reports must all be turned in. I must have a current program service delivery calendar in hand. And so this is where many of you, a lot of you are in great standings. A couple of you that are missing a couple of reports. And so if you want to know your status, let me know. Actually, it might be easier for me to let the ones that are missing just a couple reports know that I need it turned in. But other than that, we need to be in good performing status. And then obviously we're submitted by the end of the due date, and so we are doing our best and trying our best to get the information back to you on, the service, the funding amounts, and we're trying to get the information as soon as we can to you. And we know that, it would be better for you all to know how much you would be funded earlier rather than later. And so with that, we give you all a 5-week deadline to complete this survey, so that we can give you that information sooner. We're hoping in the beginning of May that we could give you that information, but I would range it towards early May to mid-May. Let's see. Adina, is there anything else you would like to add? Okay, I see you.
Nope, you're doing great.
Okay, great. And also just, when I talk about reports, that's including expenditure reports, wanting to make sure you all are utilizing and submitting, and utilizing your funding. I know last year, we had experienced, we are still currently experiencing COVID, but we have some funding. Some of us didn't use funding until towards the end of the year, and so I want to make sure you all are submitting your expenditure reports and good standing with accessing your funds as well. The money is there, so access it. So what we'll do next is we're just gonna go and review the survey, and let me exit out of the slides, and then we'll review the survey, and then right afterwards would be a Q&A session. And so we'll go about that. Let me pull up the survey. I had it up. Let's see. Any questions right now while I'm pulling it up?
So just to confirm, there's not going to be any separate RFP or anything after this. This is the renewal for next year.
Yes, at this point, this is going to be a second year of biennium. So the funding we have is the funding we will have until the end of the 2023. However, if there's any funding left, we might open it for the RFA later in the year, but we don't think that there will be any funding left.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Great question, by the way.
Excuse me, I have a question, but I feel like my circumstance would be like special or exceptional or whatnot. So would we be able to maybe check in with you all like later, maybe not in the group forum? I just don't want to put my business out there.
Yeah, you can just, we can find a time to connect, and
Okay.
April 15th is in just a couple of weeks. So let's talk sooner rather than, later.
Yeah.
Just send me an email, say, hey, Kimberly, let's find time to connect, and we can definitely personally connect on your organization and what, you're hoping to do.
Okay, word. Thank you.
Yep. And that's with any of you. If any of you have specifics with your program and you're like, you know what, we want to double check if this is doable. Can we do this? Definitely just send me an email and say, hey, Kimberly, can we hop on a call real quick? And I can definitely do that. Let's see. Let me share my screen real quick. Any other questions? Okay, can you see the survey on your screen?
Yep.
Okay, great. As you all can see, it's very similar to last year. This year it is called a survey. So that is one big piece. There's a grantee that was a little bit confused about that, and I don't blame them. But yes, this is called a survey this year. And here in the instructions, it's just like last year. Please provide a summary of your program. And here's the thing, please provide it as if it's not just Adina and I reading this, it's someone that would not know what your program is. What are you doing? Do not say, do the same as the previous year. Like, we need you to spell it out. What are the activities you're doing? What is your program? Breaking it down like that, the specific community you intend to serve, or the experiencing you're hoping that you would receive, how the program be delivered. Is it going to be in person? Is it going to be hybrid? Is it going to be mixed? Is it just going to be on via Zoom? Whatever it is about your program, please illustrate it in the sense of and describe it so that we can understand what it is. I know I talk to you all, so I can vouch for you. I can, like stand up in front of someone and talk about, each and every one of you and say, this is the program activity that you are doing. But what really needs to happen is if, for example, my supervisor, if leadership at the ELD wants to read this information, they need to be able to understand fully what your program is. So a deep summary of what you are planning to do. Obviously anticipated start dates. Your start date might be, we plan on serving the children July 1. Kimberly, we want, and some of you might say, we need the funding July 1, but we're not going to start until September, and so you could put September, October, whichever it is. Some of you this year started October. Like September is when we're recruiting, Kimberly, when staff comes back from the summer, and October is when we're actually going to start the services. And so put the date of when you're planning to start services. Obviously, you would be, the funding is available July 1, for everyone, but this is the time for you to put the date of when service will start for your programs, okay? And then just like last year, the targeted number of children and families and age group, obviously, must be 0 to 5, must be 0 to 5, but targeted age group, some have said we're serving just 0 to 3. Kimberly, we're focusing on infants and toddlers. Some have said 3 to 5, and some have said 0 to 5, where it's the whole span, and so please give us a target age group, the number of children and families you plan on serving. This is like I said, targeted. Obviously, whichever number it is that you put in here is what we would hope that you would aim towards, but obviously targeted doesn't mean that is the number that we're holding you to, and so just know that this is, just put a target number of how many, please don't put a range. Don't say, 15 to 20, don't say 50 to 60, just say 50. 15, give us just an actual number, okay? Let's see. And then obviously tribal language preservation or revitalization is embedded in there as well. And so if you have a kindergarten transition program, you're serving 15 children and you're doing tribal language preservation or revitalization activities, you would just, and that's included in one of these, okay? And so if you are, a tribe, if you are one of the tribal programs, we would understand and you would let us know that, all right? And then you would let us know that by in the summary, indicating that that's what you would be including in your activities. Let's see. And same with here, breaking it down exactly, like a narrative of each activity above. This is a high level overview, but this is a breakdown of what each activity is that you'll be doing, okay? And then this one is important. Please describe any changes to your program. For example, we have, you know, this current year, we have been providing services virtually. We are moving back to having it in person or choosing to have a hybrid session because we realize virtual services has been very helpful, and we're going to continue that, but we're also going to start servicing in person as well. Any other changes? Oh, we realized that we had aimed for too high of a number, and we're deciding to lower our targeted number. It could be, we realized that including virtual services, we could actually reach out to more families. And so we're increasing our budget because we want to service more families and children. And so this is your time to explain any changes in your program, or we have been using this parent curriculum, and now we're going to switch to this new parent curriculum, which would then include, cost of, like curriculum booklet purchases and things like that. And so any changes to your program that would be of benefit for us to understand the impacts in which it would make towards your budget, towards the targeted number of children and families you're servicing, anything like that. Some have said, Kimberly, we realized that we were serving just 3 to 5, and this year we really want to intentionally reach out to the 0 to 3-year-olds. Anything in that realm, put that, any changes to your programs in this area. And then obviously in eligibility for, the equity fund is to target 2 or more of these areas, these categories. And so please let us know which targeted areas you are selecting, and it kind of explain it. It could be socioeconomic status. It could be a geographic location. You can say, geographically, we're wanting to expand as well. And there's another county here next to us that we would like to expand to, and yada, yada, whichever it is that you would like to put in here to explain more of the targeted criteria that you're trying to meet. Obviously, we want to know all the counties that would be served. And so many of you serve more than one county. So just make sure you indicate which county you're planning on serving. This one was a new one. Please select the demographic communities you plan to serve. For example, if you say, I'm from Marion County and I plan on serving the Hispanic and Latino community, please, please check mark that. You said, you know what, it's going to be multiracial. So you know what, I'm going to put other and multicultural families here, so whichever it is that you're specifically targeting, please put it there. And then your annual budget narrative, any justifications of how and why, you need certain things to meet your program goals. This is your time to justify any increases or decreases in your funding. We've had some that said, Kimberly, you know what, this year is our second year. We realize our target number is too high. We're gonna, decrease our funding because we've been trying to, recruit for this many families, and we just have not been able to hit that mark. And so we still want to be an equity fund grantee, but we're going to decrease our target numbers in our funding. Some have said, Kimberly, oh my goodness, virtual has helped tremendously. Now we know we need more and we can do more. We want to do more and we want to increase. And so this is really important for you to justify your reasoning for your budget and increases, and to back up any of the information you said beforehand of what you're providing with your program. And then this is very familiar. This is the budget template in which should be submitted. This is the budget template that you all have been using, all year long. Any changes that you'd like to make to it, please have it here. Please break it down, have the descriptions. Let's see, Adina, did you have anything else to add on the budget templates?
Yeah, just grant manual that was provided to you last year. It's still valid. We have a list of allowable, disallowable cost on it. So please use it when determining your cost. For example, for equity fund, we are not allowed to purchase vehicles. So line item description is very important. If you add, for example, transportation for enrolled children, we would like to know what kind of transportation you're using and stuff. So just make sure you add as many details as possible to your line item descriptions. And then when you tie it to the expansion above or justification narrative around your budget, just add everything from, you know, any operational cost. Is it additional staff? Is it staff in additional location? Is it anything like that? Whatever you add to the narrative section, please make sure you also add it to the budget section. And that's pretty much it. Everybody does really good job with budgets in general with equity funds. So
Yep, like I said, you all should be very familiar with this, and so just submit it, please, like what Adina said, please, 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 you know, explain, you know, and so, and if we have any questions, and if honestly, if there's any additional information we'll need, we'll send you an email, say, hey, can you explain this program a little bit better? Why, how, can you explain this a little bit better? It wasn't really clear to us, you know, we will ask for additional information if we are wanting it to be more clear, okay? And then, and that's it. That's all it is that needs to be completed, you know. Thank you, Pilar, for letting me know that there's not a signature line. This is acceptable as is. It's gone through procurement. This is completely fine. And so this is what you would need to complete. Please, in order for it to be official, please send it to me and Adina in an email. Okay, I will email you and confirm with you that we have received it. And then what would happen is, like I said, the date is April 15th. Our goal is to let you know in the beginning of May of what your standing is. And so that is our goal. We want you to know your information sooner rather than later, especially for planning purposes for your agency with this funding, but definitely that is what our goal is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop screen sharing, and then we will open it up for Q&A if any of you have any questions.
Kimberly, this
Yes.
is Valerie.
Mhm.
I was just wondering, you know, we've gone through 3 financial officers in, you know, just a short time that we've had the grant. So I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit unaware of where we're standing as far as, you know, those reports and whether or not they've been. Is there a way that we can talk offline and see where we're at with those, or would that be a Dina question?
Valerie,
And
I'll email you after the meeting and give you the status, and then maybe we can schedule a meeting and go over your budget, what was submitted, everything else.
wonderful, thank you very much. And then too, I wanted to talk offline, as now that we've trained, you know, teachers to be teachers of the language, that now we're gonna go in and teach all early childhood staff. And so it's kind of exciting, but I do want to know if we can talk offline
Yeah,
at some point.
very excited to hear. Please send me an email and say, Kimberly, let's find time to talk, you know, have questions for the equity fund survey before submitting it. And so that way that prioritizes it for me and say, okay, we need to meet, because I know the due date is April 15th and I want to be able to connect with you as soon as we can instead of waiting till closer to that date. And so if any of you want to specifically meet just on your agency, and where you stand and things like that, we can definitely do that.
Okay, last question. Will we be receiving contracts again? And if we do I have to wait till that contract is negotiated?
So yes, this will be 2022-2023 contract that we will be issuing hopefully way before July. We're kind of ahead of schedule at this time, but yes, before funds are available, you will have to sign the agreement.
Thank you.
So Muna, I see your hand up.
Hi, this is Mona with Cairo. I just wanted to ask a clarifying question. Last year we turned in 3 different applications because we have 3 programs that we want in. Is it the same thing? Are we doing
Yes.
3 separate? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Mhm. Sunshine?
Hi, Adina, can you send me an email as well, and so that we could set up a time to meet?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then I also have 2 additional questions. So say we want to start in October, but we need to start maybe purchasing in September for October. Do we still put October as our start?
Yes, because your contract will be from July 1st until June 30th. So you can start utilizing your funds the moment your agreement is signed. We understand that there's some preparations, that you still have staff that needs to be paid year round and stuff. So as long as we know on performance side that you will be providing services from October until June, however, your contract, your agreement duration is a full 12 months. So
Okay.
we have that separation there.
Okay, thank you. And then I have another question. So say if we're doing an event and we're going to provide food or meals, would we separate that portion and put that under food or meals, or would that just be part of that activity or event?
So that can be, I want to say, when I look at this, I'm looking at food and meals for enrolled children as your, day-to-day activities, or, whenever you have program activities and stuff. But material, you can, so when you have events like recruiting events, you can add that either there at food and meal under food and meals for enrolled children, or materials and supplies for the program. If you're planning for the event and you want to keep everything together, you can just put it there because it is related to your program and it is cost associated with it.
Okay, thank you.
And one thing I'd like to mention too is, there's a couple of grantees that have said, you know what? We've been providing a parent-child interaction program. We really want to do a parent education program now too. Like, is this opportunity to put that? Yes, this is your opportunity to say, hey, you know what? We'd like to add a parent education program as well. And so this is your opportunity to do that. Let's see, any other questions? Very self-explanatory, very familiar, very similar, just like last year. And so I will say, please be thorough. Make sure if Adina and I are not reading it, if the other program managers are able to read it, they'll be able to read it. For the start date of the service, please put on the date services of the month or date services will actually begin. Not July 1, but it could be September, it could be August, whichever date when services will actually start, because I do get that question where they will say, Kimberly, when is the majority of the equity fund, when has the services started, and so I need to have that information so we can compare apples to apples with other programs at the ELD. Let's see. Danita, a question. Should we submit all applications in one email or one by one? Please submit it in one email, I would ask, just because, there's a couple of grantees that has multiple applications, and we don't want to miss one of them. So if you could just have them on one email with all the attachment, that would be great. Any other questions? And as always, like I said earlier, oh, Sandy, hand up.
I know, I'm playing by the rules. I'm kind of impressed.
There you go.
I do have a question, and I certainly respect and understand the overlay that COVID-19 has put on all operations. Okay, so please don't think that I'm. Yeah, just know that I respect that. So in the past, like last year, we did have some difficulty getting things through and getting things funded for this grant. we weren't really able to do it, as it seems like to me, and it could have been our tribe piece too, because there was language in the contract that made it that we had to do speaking on. Do we feel like we are in a better position this year to have contracts signed, funded, and ready to go, say by August?
July 1st is my goal. And
Oh.
yes, like I have, so we are on a back scene with procurement and becoming DELC and everything. We are working on the master grant agreements, the language that will live there, and it will be applied to every grant agreement. So we avoid going in that same circle between DOJ and everything. We have 3 tribes funded through this grant, and all of you have different language. Now we are saving that and making sure that before we even push it through DOJ, we will circle with your legal teams to make sure we are good. So like procurement is my big initiative personally, because I hate that we always get stuck. So I started working with procurement on the July 1 agreements like in January. So I am way ahead of time, and that's why we are doing this survey at this point. So my goal and Kimberly's goal and this team goal is to have funding in your pockets on July 1st and executed agreements.
Yeah, this was to be completely transparent, this is a conversation I've been having with leadership. You know, to be even more transparent, I was very upset last year, where I've said, you know, like for the equity fund, we have some grassroots organizations that need the funding July 1, you know, and a lot of us do not have money in reserves or have credit cards to pay staff, and like they need the funding July 1, and we need to have it available as soon as we can on a contract date, and we can't, some can't do reimbursements, you know, and so this is a conversation that internally at the ELD we've been trying to work on. And so I know Adina, like we are so lucky we have Adina, because Adina is working so well with procurement, and I'm just hoping that and that is the goal. The goal is July 1. And so to your question, yes, you know, we're trying to do our best, but yes.
And I want to make sure you know that I appreciate the difficulties that all of that is put on there. And I also appreciate that we're learning as we go and seeing the problems and being proactive. So thank you very much. It's very much. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes. No,
And
thank you all.
There's a question about multi-year contract, Zakia. At this point, because Equity Fund is such a new program, and we are, you know, seeing a lot of success with it. However, we don't have standards defined as it's new, like OPK has or Preschool Promise. There's that under enrollment section. There's just general standards that need to be followed. It is at this point, and that might change for the next biennium, it is year-to-year contract, because we have to ensure that there is a performance and the application that qualifies you and continue doing the program. And we can't commit at this time without any standards that to, you know, 2 years of funding and contract without saying, hey, you know, if you don't deliver, let's say 80% of your services, you will lose some of the funding and stuff. So that's something that it will be developed, but it also, this is a brand new program, and we are seeing a full, you know, effect of it. We are very proud of it, but we are also getting ready to, you know, request more funding and, you know, show a fuller picture, because we are the only program that actually provides activities and it's not full childcare. So that might be an option for next biennium, but at this point, it's just a year-to-year contract.
And, you know, a good way to look at it too is because it's a year-to-year contract, it allows you to make changes. You know, like if you have like a 2-year program, you know, like we're holding you to that. Where when it's a year-to-year program, if there's adjustment that needs to be made and changed, that's where the opportunity is there as well. And so currently, yes, exactly what Dina said, we're doing a year-to-year contract, but eventually the goal is to move to that 2-year biennium contract like all the other programs. And so see, any other questions? I'm receiving emails, and so glad that you're all emailing me. I will definitely send you an email back after this session for a time for us to connect. Let's see. Any other questions?
This is Anna Olivia. How much time? I'm really late. Something happened at the last second that I couldn't get here. So can you tell me how much more time we have?
Until the application is due, or until the session is over?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we allocated an hour for a session, but if you want to meet with us and talk specifically about your program, we can meet offline. But this one is more of like a general overview of the survey, and we will send this recording. So whatever we had talked about that was mentioned earlier, you'll be able to see it in the recording as well.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if I could just catch up with a few details. But the other question I will ask, maybe for everybody's sake, is there going to be a summer like it was last year, or even half as much? Do you see
Well,
any?
the summer funding last year was a one-time thing, you know,
I
and
figured that.
that was a great opportunity given to us from the governor. Will we have that this summer? We don't know, because we didn't know about the summer thing until closer to the summer. And so
Right.
will there be an opportunity? We hope, but currently right now we have not heard of an opportunity.
Right.
I would not currently know.
I was just trying to decide whether we wanted to start our services in the summer because there's not going to be summer funding, or whether we should schedule as usual in September. Because this funding has allowed us, if there wasn't a summer opportunity, this funding would have and could allow us to have programming year round instead of taking the summer off, because we can help a lot more kids if we can do program over the summer. But yeah, it's a little bit hard to plan when I don't know if there's extra summer funding. But could we, if we turned in the grant and said that we wanted to start in like second or third week of July, and then we got summer funding, could we change our thing and say we won't start till September with the grant that we would write, the normal grant?
I would honestly proceed forward as if there's no summer funding.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
And then-
right now, because that last year was that was because of COVID, and
Oh, yeah.
that's a one-time thing, and that doesn't mean it's going to happen. We have not heard anything from at the ELD about that opportunity again this summer. So I would proceed forward as if there isn't summer funding, and I would just say services will start, you know, July
Right.
22nd, you know,
Right.
and then when it comes to funding, if there is summer funding and you apply for it and you receive it, that's more like the back end with expenditure reports that you would then do that. And so, but then when it comes to services, and that I would proceed forward as if there's no summer funding.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Let's see. Anyone else have any questions? So this is recorded. I will upload it onto YouTube, and I will send it out for any of the staff that you think, you know, anyone in your agency that should take a look and listen to it. It'll be available as soon as I send it to you. If you're in the shower and you realize I should have asked Kimberly and Adina this question, just send us an email. We will find a time for us to connect. I will try my best to make it my priority outside of my other meetings for us to connect, because we know April 15th is coming, you know, and I want you to have enough time to make clear decisions within your agency about your funding. We know how important that is. And so thank you all for attending. I will send the video out as soon as it's uploaded onto YouTube, okay? And if you want to connect specifically on your program, your agency, then shoot me an email. I've received a couple already, and so I'm excited to be connecting with you all soon.
Did you have materials for this too? You can send those to me also.
We didn't have materials. The only thing is
This time, yeah.
yeah, the survey that
Thank
was sent out a couple weeks ago.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
all right.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.